Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tiah. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to crochet this sweater, and as you can see here, this is going to be a fun one to do. It's going to be a little bit more on the complicated side to do. So for those of you who are beginners, please go ahead and try it. You know, you could always give something like this a try, and if it defeats you, you keep trying until you get it right. But this is going to be more for intermediate, maybe crocheters out there. And I'm going to try my best to explain everything as clear as possible. But this is super beautiful. As you can see here, there's a combination of different stitches that we created this sweater with. So hopefully you will stay all the way to the end so we can all see how your finished product looks like. But this is pretty much it here. So before we go ahead and get started, let me show you guys all the materials that I used for these, and don't forget to check the description box for all the details as well, okay? So see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get this project started, I'm just going to show you quickly all the materials that I'm using for it. So as you can see here, I have this huge ball of yarn. Now, I'm just going to say I don't have all the information on this yarn. I'll try to look it up online and be able to put everything in the description box here below. The reason for that is I actually did another project with this yarn. It was a baby blanket. I didn't like it that much, so I frogged the whole thing, and this is the result of it. And I don't have the label anymore, but I know that it's a lightweight number 3, and as you can see here, it's like this really light green. Okay, for a crochet hook, I'll be using a 5mm crochet hook or H8 US. I have a tape measure here to be able to get my size, and of course today I'm making a small for myself. I have a darning needle here to be able to put our panels together. I will have some stitch markers handy around, and of course a scissors to be able to cut our strands. Okay, all right, so again, like I said, I will put all the information on this yarn in the description box below, so please check it before you start the video. Okay, so with all of that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get this project started here. So as you can see, I'm leaving a tail just a little bit, not too long, but just enough that I'm gonna be able to put my two sides together. And I have my crochet hook here. I'm going to start by doing a slip knot so we can do our foundation chain. Okay, so I'm gonna do my slip knot just like this. So do the slip knot the way you usually do it, and then we're going to start by doing a chain of 17. Okay, just gonna pull this here. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so that's my chain of 17 here, which is our foundation chain for the bottom of the sweater. And I'm going to pivot my work this way. I'm going to skip this stitch right here, and in this next one I'm going to do a single crochet stitch in the back of that chain here, just like that. Then I'm going to move on to the next stitch and do a single crochet in the back of the chain. So for those of you who are not familiar with what I'm doing here, this is the front of your chain, this is the back of your chain. So I'm going into these lumps in the back of the chain to do my single crochet stitches. Okay, so you're just going to go like this, pick that up and do your single crochet stitch, and I'm going to do this all the way until I get to the end of this chain here. So I'm going to do my final one in the back of this final chain, and when I do that, please join me back at the end so we can move on to the next step together, which is going to be our row 2. Okay, so see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so I have gone ahead and completed my single crochet stitches in the back of the chain. And so because we skipped the final or the last stitch here, we should have 16 stitches altogether. So make sure you count to make sure you have 16 stitches here. Okay, we're going to move on to our row 2, which is going to be a repeat row for this part of the sweater. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then you're going to pick up the back of the very first stitch and do a back loop single crochet. And then you're going to move on to the second and just pick up the back loop. Okay, I hope you can see it clearly here. Okay, and then you're going to go to the third and pick up the back loop, and again you're going to do these all the way to the end. And when you have one final stitch to go, come back. I will show you how to finish that final stitch off and then move on to the third row. See you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so I have completed 15 stitches here, and my 16th one is this final one here, and I wanted you guys to come back because I don't often, or actually not even at all, I don't go in this last stitch by going through the back loop only. I go through both loops, and for those of you who are aware of my crochet style, you will know this, but I'm showing you guys, those who are new, I'm showing it to you guys. So I go through both loops like this, and then I complete my single crochet, and I find that it completes it nicely and neat. Okay, and then I'm going to chain one and turn my work again to start our row 3, and this is going to be pretty much what you repeat until you have the bottom of your sweater. So I don't know what your size is. Like I said, I'm making it small. My waist size is at 30 inches. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do about 92 rows of these. I've completed 2 here. I have a third one that I'm starting, and I'm going to do 92 rows total. And the reason I'm doing 92 rows, like I said, my waistline is about 30. Okay, so my waistline is pretty much from here. This is it here. So this is the size of my waistline, like this. It looks really big here because the camera is really zoomed in, but it's not that big. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 92 rows of this, and when you stretch that 92 rows is going to be about the 30 inches line. But if you do the 90 rows without stretching, it will probably fall somewhere around here, about 20, 23, maybe 24. Okay, but when you stretch it, then you get your full length. So when I have my 92 rows, I will come back to show you how it looks like unstretched, and then what you can stretch it to. Okay, so again, measure the circumference or your waist, and then you're going to be able to do the amount of rows that fits you after you stretch the project when it's done. If you are looking to do this sweater in a much bigger and loose size, then of course do that, and you can just do it until you have the size that you're looking to have. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and create this bottom part of your sweater, and when you complete your number of rows, come back and I will show you guys how to move on to the next step of the project. Okay, I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I have gone ahead and completed my 92 rows of the single crochet in the back loop, and as you can see here, that is the length that I have, and both sides are pretty much completely the same, so there's no inside, there's no outside of it. Okay, now I'm just gonna quickly talk to you guys about the measurements here. So like I said, my waistline is about 30. And as you can see here, if I measure this without stretching it, it's about 23 inches. Okay, so you see that here. And so then if I stretch it, so I'm just gonna hold this down here, and I'm gonna push it off camera so I can show you how much it stretches. So if I stretch this guy, as you can see, I could even go past 31 inches. I could go up to 33, even maybe more if I kept stretching it. So that is pretty much what I want you guys to do, is when you measure your waist, you can either do exactly the length of your waist without stretching it, which means these ribs here will stay like very, close to each other. But when you do stretch it out, as you can see, becomes extremely gappy. Okay, but when you stretch it out, you will be able to get the length that you're looking for without doing too many rows of this to get your waistline. Okay, so that's pretty much that part of it here. So we're gonna move on to the next step. So I'm gonna join my two sides like this, so that this is pretty much where the waist of my sweater, or like the bottom part of my sweater, and we're going to join these. And this is also why we left the tail of the beginning of the chain here hanging, so that we can actually join the work that way. Okay, and it doesn't matter which side you join. Like I said, both sides are exactly the same. So we're just going to line up our stitches here, and like I said, you should have 16 stitches on either of the sides here, so that when you join it, you're matching up your stitches all the way to the end here. Okay, So I'm just gonna, let me see if I can zoom the camera in. There you go. And I'm just gonna show you how to join these here, and then we'll start the next part of the sweater together. So I have the side that has the string on the opposite side of me, and then I'm gonna go through the both loops of the first stitch on this side and go through the both loops of the stitches on the other side, and I'm gonna pull and lock that area down like that. And then I'm going to do another one in the exact same spot just to kind of secure that part completely nicely. And then I'm going to move on to the next stitch here. I'm going to grab the inside of these V shapes. As you can see, there's these V shapes, there are these V shapes. I'm going to grab the inside of this side and then the outside on the other side, and I'm going to pull it and close. And then I'm just going to repeat that where I'm picking the stitch or the part of the stitch that is closest, that is furthest away from me. And then on the other side, I'm also picking the one that is the outside of that side. I don't know if you guys, if I'm making sense. So I'm picking out this stitch here on this side, so it's the stitch away from me. And then on the other side, I'm picking out the outside stitch, which is also the one that is furthest from me on the outside on the other side. And again, we're just gonna keep joining these stitches, and we're gonna do this all the way to the end here. And your 16th stitch should be this one here and the one where the stitch is coming over through, but you're not gonna go into the last one because you cannot sew into this final stitch here. So just to the second last one. And when you have done so, come back to the video and I will show you guys how to start the next step. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so I have done it all the way to the second last one here. So as you can see, if you flatten your work here like this, this is where we joined it. So it's very invisible, which is the point of being able to do it like that. And for this final one here, I'm going to go through both of these final both of the loops in this final stitch here, and then pick up both on the other side as well. And then I'm gonna pull and pretty much lock that in there. And then I am going to take that off and I'm going to leave it hanging here, okay? And I'll tell you in a minute why I'm leaving that there. So this is pretty much how this part of your sweater should look like, okay? And again, very, very stretchy, so it's gonna be able to fit our waist when it comes time to wear it. Okay, so just to move on to the next step here, I have my yarn right where I have the last stitch here. I'm just gonna turn it like this, okay? And I am going to move this to the other side. So I'm just going to go on to the other side right here, and I'm going to do a slip stitch, okay? And now I have it like that. And then I'm going to do a chain one, and in the next stitch right there, I'm going to do a single crochet, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then another single crochet, and then another single crochet. And as you can see here, I don't have definite stitches that I'm going into. What I'm doing is I'm going into this gap here that is in this dented area, the space that is kind of like a valley. I'm going in there and picking that and doing a single crochet stitch. And then the one that looks like it protrudes here, I'm going to go on top of it and do a single crochet stitch. And then I'm just alternating it all the way through. I go on top, I go in the bottom, I go on top, and I do this all the way around until I come back here. So I'll let you guys do the same. Just do your single crochets all around. When you come back to this end here, come back to the video, and then I will show you guys how to do the next step. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my first row here of the single crochet around my sweater here, okay, the base of my sweater. So that's pretty much how it looks like. And as you can see here, this is where we started the single crochet stitches. And the reason I wanted to leave this here is because it's a good guide for you to use when you're working on this project, because you will know that you're back at the where we started our stitches, just in case you lose that, okay? Now, as you can see, I just did my last single crochet stitch right there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just join with a slip stitch on this side, on the very first stitch that we did on the other side here. I'm going to go into that and do a slip stitch, so it joins the two sides like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do a chain of one, and I'm going to turn my work back this way, so we're going to be working back that way. And then from this point here, I am going to do a row of double crochet. So I'm just gonna pick up my my string here, and in this stitch right there, so you may also see that there's a stitch right next to what you just did a chain one on. We're not working into that one, is this next one here, and I'm going to do a double crochet stitch just like that. And then I'm going to move on to the next and do my double crochet right there, and the next double crochet. And then I'm going to pretty much do this a stitch all the way around again until I come back to the beginning here where this string is. So that is going to be again my guide of where I finish my project, or my rows. Okay, so I'm just gonna do my double crochet stitches all the way, and again I'm going through both loops. I'm not going in the back loop only or anything like that. I'm just doing regular double crochet stitch, and I'm going to do this to the end. So go ahead and do the same, and when you get to this section here, come back and I will show you guys how to start the next row. Okay, so see you guys in a bit. Okay, my loves, so as you can see, I have completed my row of double crochet stitches, and I'm back at the beginning here. So again, I am going to go into this first stitch on the other side here and do my slip stitch to join the two sides like that. And then I'm going to do a chain of one, and I'm going to turn my work again, and I'm going to be working back this way. And then we just do the same thing, but except for this row, I'm going to do a row of single crochet. So we're just going to go into the next stitch and we do our single crochets, and then you continue to do these again all the way around to when you're back here. So I'll let you guys do that again. Go all the way here. When you get to this end, come back again. I will show you my fourth row, which is going to complete what we're going to be repeating for this project. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my row of the single crochet stitch here, and as you can see, this is the end. Again, I'm guided by the string that I left behind here, and as you can see so far, this is how our sweater should look like. So again, this is a more fitted sweater. If you're looking to do something a lot looser, then obviously you would have had to do a lot more rows of this section of the sweater to create that loose effect. But I'm making a kind of like a tight one or like a fitted one for a small. So this is how it looks like here. Okay, so to start our next row here, which is our fourth row, I'm going to join this side and this side here just by going into that first stitch on the other side and doing a slip stitch. Okay, then I'm going to do a chain one, and I'm going to turn my work. Okay, and then I'm going to do my single crochet in the next stitch right here. Okay, now that I have my single crochet stitch, I am going to go ahead and do a post stitch right on this double crochet stitch from 2 rows ago. Okay, so this is the double crochet right here. I'm going to do a post stitch right on that, and just make sure you pull your work so that it goes all the way to the top like so. And then in this next stitch here, I'm going to do, so as you can see, there's one stitch right here kind of covered by this post stitch. You're not going to go into that. In the next one here, you're going to go into that and do your single crochet stitch, and then you're going to skip this double crochet stitch from 2 rows ago, and then in the next one you're going to do a post stitch on that one. Okay, just like that. And then again, you're skipping this stitch right here. In the next one, you're doing a double crochet, a single crochet stitch. And then when it comes to the post stitch, you're not going to do a post stitch on this one, which is the next to the other post stitch. You're going to skip that, and the next one you're going to do your post stitch right there. Okay, for those of you who are new and don't understand what a post stitch is, this is pretty much where we do kind of like a double crochet, but we're grabbing a stitch in front, like we're going in, we're looping around or the back of the stitch from a previous stitch. In this case, it's not just a previous stitch, but it's 2 stitches ago, 2 rows ago. Okay, so again, I'm going to do a single crochet right here, and then I'm going to do a post stitch right here. Okay, so if you look at it carefully here, we're skipping every other double crochet from 2 rows ago, and we're doing our post stitch in the previous, and then we're doing our single crochet and then doing our post stitch right in the double crochet from the previous row. And you're pretty much going to continue this again all the way until you go around back to our beginning here, where our chain is hanging, where our tail is hanging from when we joined the project here. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and when you get to the end, come back, and these 4 rows here is going to be our repeat rows. So I'm just gonna ask you guys to finish this row of the post stitch row, alternation of post stitch and the single crochet, and then when you come back, I will show you guys how to start the repeat row. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see here, I just completed my 4th row, which is the row of the post stitch, front post stitch. Okay, now as you can see here, this is where our beginning started. I just finished doing a post stitch right on this stitch right here, and so I just have a single crochet to complete right there, and then I'm going to slip stitch on the other side of the project to close up that area, to join the sides together like that. Okay, so let's just look at it here, because this is going to be what we're repeating pretty much for the rest of the project. So after we completed the band of our sweater, we did our single crochet row, and then a double crochet row, and then a single crochet row, and then this front post stitch row. Okay, so this is the 4 stitches that we're repeating. So again, this is a 4-row repeat. So I'm going to just quickly show you again here how to start the first row of the single crochet stitch, just like we did at the beginning. So after we join our sides here with a slip stitch, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, so we're working back this way. In this next stitch right here, I'm going to do a single crochet, and then move on to the next stitch, do a single crochet, and the next stitch, do a single crochet, and the next stitch. And then again, we're going to do these all the way to the end. When we get back here, we do this last single crochet here, we slip stitch to join, we turn the work, we chain 1, we do a row of double crochet, we come all the way to the end here again, we chain 1, we turn the, or we slip stitch to join the side, we turn, we chain 1, we do a row of single crochet, we get to the end, we slip stitch to join, we chain 1, we start our front post stitch. Okay, and you're going to repeat this until you have the length of the sweater that you're looking for. So work on that. When you have the length that you're looking for your sweater, come back, we're gonna finish these off, and then we're gonna start our sleeves, because we still have the sleeves to go. Okay, so I will see you guys when you have completed this part of your sweater. See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed about 40 rows of this sweater. So from right here, I did 40 rows going this way. Okay, not counting this section here. And as you can see, that's pretty much how it looks like so far. Okay, and now I'm going to create the parts that will be for the armpits. Okay, for me to be able to put my sleeves on. And to do that, we have to do 2 pieces. So we're gonna do this side and then the other side. And as you can see here, this is pretty much where we joined our work, and this is where we have been able to turn our work. Every time that we did our rows, we would get to where this string is and turn our work, and as you can see, this is where it is right here. So I'm going to make this part here one side of my it's gonna be a part that will go on my side. Okay, so instead of this being in the back, it's gonna be the side. So what I will do here is I will put a stitch marker somewhere here, and then a stitch marker here. Let me just go grab those really quick. 1 second, please. Okay, so I'm back. I have my stitch markers here. So I'm just going to put a stitch marker on the opposite side, so I know where my yarn is here. And as you can see, I just make it's very straight. If you're very picky, you can count your stitches, but you may have uneven stitches. So what I just do is I just kind of line up my work like this. okay, so that everything lines up. And then I'll just take a stitch marker and put one on this side, just anywhere here where it's like where it ends. And then I'll take one and I will just put it right where I ended my project, right here for now, like that. Okay, so I'm going to work with this side first, and then when we're done, we're going to disconnect and then connect our yarn to work on the other side. And this is going to leave the sides here open so that when we make our sleeves, we can then connect our sleeves to make our sweater. Okay, so for this section here, let me just zoom in here so I can show you. So I am going to pretty much, so this is where I stopped my project, right here. And I should probably not have my yarn on the other side, so I should bring this onto this side right here. Let me do it right here. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm pretty much going to continue this pattern that we just did here, but I'm going to turn right now and go this way. So I'm going to do my chain one, which is what we would do before we turn, and then I would flip my work, and then I'm going to be working on this side right here. And after I do my chain one, remember the last stitch that I finished with here is the front post stitch, the front post double crochet. So if you remember the four row repeat, the first one we're going to be doing is a single crochet row. So we're just going to do a single crochet row all the way to where our stitch marker is, and then chain one, and then turn back around and do our double crochet stitches. And then when we get here, we chain one, turn around, and then do a single crochet stitch, and then turn back around and do our post, front post. So that is pretty much what we're doing here, which is pretty much what we've been doing with the project. So again, I'll just show you that here. So I'm just gonna go into this stitch and do a single crochet. Oops, let me just make sure it's on focus here. And then I'm gonna go right into that stitch and do my single crochet. And then I'm going to continue this all the way. So I'm not going to show you guys how to do the whole thing all over again because you know what to do. Okay, so like I said, you're just pretty much repeating what we did here, except instead of going around, you're just going to be working on one side. Now in terms of the sizes, I measured my how much I need my space or gap to be. I'm going to do about rows that will give me about 7 inches. So however many rows that will give me 7 inches, I'm going to do that. I believe it's probably going to be about maybe 20 rows like this. And then when I complete that, then I'm going to turn around and connect my yarn where the stitch marker is, and then work on this side and do the same. So I will have you guys do that off camera, and I'll do the same with mine. And when I have completed that, again, measure yourself from where the top of your shoulder is to just right underneath your armpit, or however big you want the sleeves to be, because this is going to be where you put the sleeve, and this is half of the side. Okay, so my sleeve eventually will be about 14 inches, which means when I do my sleeve, it's gonna end up looping around like this. And then this is going to be the gap of my sleeve, right where my armpit and my shoulder will be. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So again, let's just tackle one thing at a time. So let's continue to do these stitches here, and then when you have created, I'm going to create about 7 inches long on this side. Then I'm gonna take my yarn and disconnect on that side, connect it here, do the same thing on this side, match it, and then I will come back to show you guys how to do the sleeves. So I will see you guys when you have created this side and the other side as well. Okay, all right, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so this is what I've completed here. This is pretty much the body of the sweater done. So as you can see, this is where we kind of I guess left out the gap where we're gonna be sewing our sleeves. Okay, and on each side of it, I left a little bit of a longer tail like this, so that we can use these guys to sew in our sleeve later. Okay, so this is pretty much it here. I believe this is about 20 inches long, and as you can see, it's a little bit on the tight side because it's gonna be a tight fit type of a sweater. You can also make these a little bit more bigger or baggier if you wanted to, just by making sure you increase the start of your work here like we did. So that's pretty much it here. So this is the outside. This nice pattern here is going to be the outside of our sweater, and this is the inside of it. So as you can see, there's quite a huge difference between the two sides. Okay, you could also probably flip this and have it one so that this is the outside, but why when you have this nice beautiful pattern on this side? But that's pretty much it here. So we've done the body of it, so it's now time to do the sleeves. Okay, so I'm gonna put these off to the side. I'm not gonna show you guys how to do the whole thing because it's just repeating what we did with this guy here. So what I've done here is I pretty much repeated the same thing, and I'm gonna just talk a little bit about it, and I'll have you guys work on your two sleeves of line. So the same thing as we started with the foundation chain here of 17 chains, I did the same with this. So this is 17 chains. Then I skipped the first chain, or the 17th chain, and then I work my single crochet in the back of the chain, and then I go all the way to the end. I do a chain one, turn my work, and then work in the back of the stitches to do my back loop single crochets. And I did 24 rows for this, which is my sleeve. Okay, so if I put these on, this is gonna be pretty much the sleeve of my sweater right here, and then I'm gonna be working it up like this. So, and we're doing the exact same thing we did here. So I completed my 24 rows, and then I joined my work right here. As you can see, this is the tail that I had left behind, and then I used it to join my work right here, just the same as we did when we joined our work here with the sweater. And now that that's done, I'm pretty much going to do a chain of one here. Okay, so I'm just gonna move this to the side. I'm gonna do a chain of one and then turn my work. And then actually I'm not gonna do a chain of one at all, I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna pretty much turn my work here and then do a slip stitch to the side to join these two sides together. And you're just gonna find the stitch right here at the beginning and do a slip stitch, and then you're going to do a chain one, and then you're going to work your single crochet stitches around your sleeve here, and you're going to do this all the way around. When you get to the end, which is right here, you're going to slip stitch to join this stitch to the final one on this side, and then chain one, turn, and then work your double crochet stitches. And then when you get to the end again, you do your joining the two sides by doing a slip stitch to the first stitch from the previous row, from that same row that you're completing. Chain one, turn your work, do a row of single crochet, and then so you're just pretty much repeating this. So I don't want to repeat the same thing over again. You're pretty much doing what we did with our sweater here, with the body of our sweater. So there's a row of single crochet, a row of double crochet, a row of single crochet, and then a row of the front post stitch. And then when you're done that row, you start over again by doing a single crochet stitch, a double crochet stitch, a single crochet stitch, and then a front post stitch. And these are all the rows that you're doing. So you're repeating those sets of 4 until you have the length of your sleeve. Okay, so I'll let you guys do that. So create your first sleeve when you have the length. Again, the way I measure how long my sleeve should be is I place, and I always use the inches, so I place the beginning of the measuring tape right on top of my shoulder, and then I pretty much just move it all down my arm until where I want my sleeve to end. So if I hold this tight here with my chin, which is holding it just right above my shoulder here, and I bring it down, as you can see, I can either do it at 22 inches or 23 inches. It's gonna be more like, I know I've done sweaters before where I did it at 22 inches. So that's how long my sleeve is gonna be. So I'm gonna be making a sleeve that is 22 inches. And then when I'm done that, I'm going to start the second and pretty much repeat this pattern again until I have my second sleeve. So I will have you guys work on your 2 sleeves offline, and when you have both of your 2 sleeves done, come back and we will go ahead and join the sleeves to the sweater, And that would pretty much be the end of the project, okay? So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you guys when you're done your both of your sleeves. See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see here, these are my 2 sleeves that I completed offline. So as you can see, this is pretty much one of them here. Okay, so this is going to be the top of the shoulder, and then this, of course, my wrist, and that's the same one as this. So I have my 2 pieces exactly the same. Okay, so as you can see here, again, this is going to be a tight fit sweater, so the sleeves match it as well, so they're going to be a little bit of tight fit for the sleeves. And as you can see, the pattern is exactly the same as we did for the body of the sweater. Okay, so now that you have your 2 sleeves completed, okay, we're going to now join them to our sweater, and that would pretty much complete the work. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly show you how to kind of join your work together, and then you can kind of do it offline, and then I will do the same, and when we come back we will be able to see how our completed project looks like. Okay, I'm just gonna put one sleeve away so I can bring the sweater in so I can show you how it's gonna go on. Okay, so that's the body of the sweater here, nice and slim and lengthy. And as you can see, this is my sleeve here. So what I'll pretty much do, so as you can see, this is the space that we gapped out for the sleeve, and it's the same on this side. So our sleeve is supposed to match exactly here. So if I line it up here and I line it up here, that is where it's gonna get sewn in, and you can just stretch it a little bit to make sure it fits. So what I will do here, as you can see, this is the outside of our sweater. Okay, this is the outside of our sweater, this is the inside of the sweater. The same thing with the sleeve, this is the outside, that is the inside. Because of how we made our sleeve to go around or to be fully shut like that, it's going to be a little bit different to join it together. So just listen to me carefully here so that you can make sure you're doing it correctly, because otherwise one side will be not done properly. So I'm going to line my work like this. Okay, and I'm going to join my sleeve and my sweater from just right underneath my armpit here where it starts all the way to the end here. Okay, when that's done, I am going to flip it over. Okay, because what happens is this is going to be the inside of the seam. So if you join this like this as well, this side like this as well, this becomes the outside, so we don't want to do that. So after you have joined this side like that, then you're going to flip your work over so that this then goes on the inside, and you sew it pretty much. You're gonna end up bringing these on the inside like this. So if, oops, sorry about that. So if I was to flip it like this, then this is also gonna be the inside. So then as you can see, this is the inside of the sweater, this is the inside of the sleeve. So then you join it like this, and then you join the top, and that's it. Okay, I hope you understood that, because I'm not gonna be showing you how to actually do it on the camera here, but I'm just gonna repeat that again. You line up your sleeve and your sweater, both sides are facing, the outsides are both facing up. You take this side, right? You join it with this side like this, so this side goes shut here, and then you flip your work around, especially the sweater, you flip it around so that it's the inside out, and then you also join this side, but more like reverse. So these sides will go in like that and then joined. Okay, and then when you're done one side, you're going to go ahead and do the same on the second side. And when that's done, that's it. That's our work. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do mine offline here, and when we come back, what I will actually do, just so you guys kind of understand, because I know this is not the usual way of joining your work, I will do this side here, and then I'll come back and show you guys how to flip and do the other side, and then I will have you guys do the other side offline. Okay, so I will see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so as you can see here, I have joined one part of the sleeve to the sweater. Okay, so as you can see here, I've just joined it from here to here. This is where my string is now on, the side my string is on. So I wanted to come back and show you guys that we have to flip it for this side to be on the inside. So as you can see here, this is going to be the outside of our sweater. And this is where I joined it, very nice and neat. It's not showing that that's where you join it at all. So I wanted to show you guys this part. Now that we have put together this one side, we need to join this side and then eventually just a little bit of the top here. So what I will do, and you should do as well, is flip your work inside out. Okay, and we're going to do the same with the sleeve. We're just gonna flip this guy inside out. Let me just get these here. There you go. Okay, so inside out like this, and then most likely I have to flip it like this because I'm right-handed and I need to work on this side. Okay, now that our work is flipped like this, now it's easy for us to join it like this. So we're gonna join it all around here, all the way back to the top here. Okay, because this is the inside of our sweater. If we do this, then when we flip our work, then this side where we joined it here is going to be on the inside of the sweater. I hope you understand what I'm talking about here. So again, this is where we sewed on the other side, and that is going to be what is on the outside of the sweater. But because we joined it right here, and then we flip it on this side, so we can join it again right there like this. And then when we flip our work, this is going to be where the outside is. Okay, so I'm going to do the same here. I'm just going to complete the joining from the bottom of the armpit here all the way around to the top here. And I'm just going to join it until I get to this section here. And then while I'm at it, while I'm on this side, I'm going to join the other side as well, and then flip it and then finish off on the other side. And when that's all done, I'm going to come back on the video and show you guys the finished work. Okay, so I wanted to come back and show you guys how to be able to sew that, because it is a little bit tricky and I don't want you guys to have the same showing on the outside on one of the side of the sweater. Okay, all right, so I'll see you guys when the whole sweater is done. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see here, the project is done. It's all joined. This is the place where we joined here, and that is the sleeve, long one here, and of course on the other side as well. This is the length of the whole sweater here, very, very thin, because it's gonna be like a tight fit type of sweater, so it's not like a buggy one. And this is the neckline here. I tend to do very simple necklines. I don't like to do something very complicated. I think this is very nice, just leaving it simple like that. But that's pretty much it here, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me throughout this video all the way to the end. And I hope you guys have something similar to this, maybe even better, maybe, you know, something like that. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, you guys. I would just like to remind you, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, it's called Simply Angel Tiah, and that's me. Please go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I have a new video going up every week. And that way you can join me every week and we can make something new every time that we meet up. But that's pretty much it here. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me today again. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Kwaheri.